Malchus B'choros, Hashem himself did it, not through a malach or anything like that. So the question is, Hashem is kulei toiv. Nothing can come from Hashem that is not. If there needs to be a punishment for whatever it is, it happens. But there is a malach to do this. Here we say Hashem himself came down and he did this thing. And he like must do this. How can from a lakus come a yin ra? The explanation is that Hashem didn't do anything in terms of doing ra. Hashem was nizgal, revealed himself in this way. And when that level of kedusha reveals itself, all evil dissipates automatically. It wasn't an act of punishment. Hashem revealed himself, and automatically everything, all evil dissipates. When we learn Chassidus, particularly we learn a little deeper Chassidus, and we try to learn a little bit with greater understanding to recognize the union, then it has an automatic effect on the evil, an inherent evil that we all, Baruch Hashem, possess. It has a great effect, and it nullifies automatically the evil that we're all rich with. We're all endowed with a little bit evil.
Just a little?
And learn to see this, even if just the moment of understanding itself weakens it. It softens it up. You cannot come back with the same power again.
Even subconsciously?
How?
Even in a subconscious level, let's say you're learning and understanding in the end.
No, if you understand.
No, you consciously understand, but subconsciously it can be...
even if you don't intend to do anything with it, just the understanding alone weakens the evil. You all heard, I'm sure, Maisa mit dem Shmuel Munkis. When they came to arrest the Alter Rebbe, so the Alter Rebbe went away and hid in the field, just to delay it a little bit and reflect what to do. And the Shmuel Munkis followed the Alter Rebbe when he was in the field behind the bushes. The Shmuel Munkis, you heard of Shmuel Munkis? He's a big chassid of the Alter Rebbe. And he said to the Alter Rebbe like this, he said, Rebbe, he said, Monavshach. Monavshach means whichever side of the coin you look at. If you're a Rebbe, if you're a Rebbe, so you have nothing to be too afraid, evil can happen to you. And if you're not, so then by what right did you take away from Eden their pleasure from the world, this world? How do you Alter Rebbe take the pleasure from this world? When you learn Chassidus, automatically you lose some of the excitement, some of the geschmack in this world. It cannot happen otherwise. You taste the sense of truth, the sense of a lakus, even for a moment. Just go back anymore. You can't enjoy the world anymore. The Alter Rebbe said that anyone who touched my klamke means the door handle, whatever will happen, in Taivas Olam Hazeh, he will not have it. Whatever may happen, but lust for Olam Hazeh, he is not going to have.
touches everything of the Lord, then the Rebbe is not going to have to everything.
That's right. So, this is the Alter Rebbe's Kedamke. This is a door handle. And as we learn it, it has its very profound effects. You may not even realize what it does.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, just one second. Let me just define our starting point. I'll tell you. We learned till about 5 or 6 lines down on 167.
Yeah.
And anyway, we went up to on top. I want to go back to the bottom of 166. I want to go back 2 lines from the bottom and start from there again. Okay, Shneya, what question you want to ask?
You learned that, I don't know if I wrote it down properly, but this is what I had in my notes, and so you made me a little bit confused. I don't know if maybe you could elaborate on it a little bit.
Yeah.
That if someone desires a personal revelation, therefore he one second. If he desires and to have a personal revelation, therefore he desires to grasp the Likus, and therefore he will have a revelation of the Likus. What is exactly like? What does it mean? Like if he desires?
Okay, we're going to relearn that. I'm revisiting this all in. That's okay. The second line from the bottom on page 166. V'yesh ba'aveda zu beis inyon. In this aveda, the aveda of how ultimately his bonus b'das brings about a beetle of the world and is reflected in the union that he wants a lakus rather than worldliness. In that there is beis inyon. There were 2 inyon, 2 aspects, which means 2 madreges really. Veheim, and these 2 inyonim are Rotzoin Shalomayla Mehamidos, the Rotzoin that is above Midos, Vehamidos, and then he has Midos. Midos, the word midos means measurements. What does measurement mean? Measurement means something that has a precise experience, a specific experience. I've always explained the difference between sight and touch. When you touch and you feel the table, you feel something. You don't necessarily feel a table, you know it's a table. When you look at it, you see it's a table. When you sight, the fact that there is something there and what it is come together. You see it because it's a table. In touch, it's not like that. You touch, oh, I feel something. And then you can define to yourself what it is. In other words, the significance and the value of the thing that you're touching comes second.
It's not midas.
In midas.
In
Right. In midas, you relate to things to their measure, to their limit. And therefore, and we always say midas is very subjective. It's my experience. The fact that I'm experiencing something very lofty, very holy, is not the significant thing. The significant thing is the experience that I have. That's his midas.
Which one's the midas? Side of the top?
The touch.
The top. And the other thing?
When you touch something, it's dark. You touch. You know something is there. Do you know you're touching the table? You're touching something because you feel it, not because it's a table. When you see it, you see what it is. At the same time, when you see that it is there, you see what it is. And you relate directly to what it is rather than that something is there. Whereas in touch it goes the opposite. First you relate to the fact that something hits my hand, and then you figure out what it is. If you ever do figure out what it is. If you're interested to figure out what it is. So we'll talk about midas. Midas go into the category in the terms of how we described it. The sense is like a touch. Because what is midas? Midas is a reaction that a person has when something touches him. When he feels something. Something touches him directly, that's midas. Yeah.
Sight would be compared with more than sexual.
Sight is more like yeah. So let's go into the midas over here. K'moi b'midas o ahava. As for example, in the midah of ahava, what is the meaning he has ahava to Elokus? So who it is? Mashakir vas Elokim loy toiv. It is the sense that kirvas Elokim, closeness to God, is good for him. B'derech hergesh atzmo. How does he know it's good? What makes it good? He feels good. Hergesh atzmo. It's a personal experience. Huh?
I had the other day a question of that word, atzmo. Everything that you experience means is a personal experience. You cannot experience something that is not related to you.
Okay, so wait until we go to the next step. Hergesh atzmo. Just as we give the example, again, the touch. How do we know that we're touching something? How do we know we're touching something?
You feel it.
It's either a pleasant touch or it's a rough touch. But it's all how you feel it. It's how the thing affects you. That's the touch, and that's how it's midas. Midas things that a person human being, especially a Yid, not especially a Yid, was endowed with a godly soul. And therefore, he has what's called fine, refined, and very gentle midos. And what does he enjoy? He enjoys fine things. It's also a personal enjoyment, but the enjoyment is of fine things, not of coarse things. Kibbutz Elokim, he feels the closeness of God and feels the goodness of being close to God.
Would that be just a question? That feeling of closeness to God, as I like it, be not from his holy part, but rather from the good? Like, for example, when you do kindness because you like it, that is not really a mitzvah. You're doing it for yourself. So, like the Tanya says, so
Midas, that's what midas is. Hergish, but the derech hergish atzmoi. He has a personal experience in this. There's a personal experience. It's a pleasant experience. There was one time a Rebbe. It wasn't told to me who this Rebbe. A Polish Rebbe. There were many Rebbes, and they were not like the unique Rebbes, the Babish Rebbe, but they were all very real people, very holy people. So once a Rebbe said that you should know, he says, to be a Rebbe is a taiva like all taivas. Except that in order to get that taiva, first you have to destroy all other taivas. In order to enjoy that taiva, the taiva of being close to Elokus, you first have to destroy the taiva of Elam Haza. Then you can begin to be sensitive how good and pleasant Elokus is. So Kibbutz Elokim loy toy b'derech hergish atzmi. So of course, it's personal. Yes, it's personal, but it's personal on a very high, refined level. In order to get that feeling, one has to refine himself that taivas elam haza, taivas, a steak doesn't draw him, because if he enjoys a steak, he can't enjoy Elokus. That's an intangible. What's Elokus? What is it? What are you talking about? In order to be sensitive to Elokus, you have to first destroy all other types. So, this is why the Alter Rebbe explains that to have ahava to Elokus, ahava means ahava, the yira. This is essentially madrega of a tzaddik. Except a Beinoni can also have it in very special moments, during davening, during the special moments. But when he comes back into Olam Haza, into the world, he can't have it. Because it doesn't dwell together in the heart, the physical enjoyment and the spiritual enjoyment. So, Midas Ohave is Kirvas Elokim Loitov. It's good for him. B'derech hergish atzmi. It goes via, b'derech means via, through the feeling for himself. That's Midas. Hainu, and he says more specifically, clearly, this means shechofetz ha'oy ve'agilui le'atzmo. He wants this thing into himself because he feels enlivened. He feels aroused by it. Experiences it. It's a very pleasant experience to him.
Is arousal the love?
Yeah, the Kibbutz Elokim. Kibbutz Elokim is good, and that's why he wants it. And this one thing.
Type of being close to God.
But and this is called the Abba.
And he gets the midah is affected through this type.
The midah and the type is the same thing. But the important thing is that he explains that this is the taiva and the midah. This is something that goes through his own experience. It's good for me. through recognizing his own presence, his own existence, his own experience, he sees that this is a good thing and this is what he wants. Is it clear? Yeah?
I don't know how to write it. I think I understand it, but I don't know how to write it, so it's not be clear enough for me.
So you'll write, this note you'll write afterwards. Okay, so we have it's clear the idea, right? Agilu liyatzmi. Okay. Then we go further. Umeshum zeh, and because of this, because that there is a hergish atzmoi, and he feels the goodness of being close to Elokus, and he wants the oil v'gilo yatzmi, he wants the revelation to himself. Because of that, harei yirtzeh b'hasogois Elokus. And I'd like to try that we should understand this line. He wants hasogois Elokus, understanding and recognition and grasp of Elokus. Why does he want to grasp Elokus in his seichel? Shebozeh, because in this, yoir loy gilu oir. Because by grasping it in his seichel, yoir loy gilu oir, he will have a gilu oir, he will have a light, a bright light shining to him. Now, what is the Rebbe saying over here? We're talking about midas, and from midas we jump over to hasoga. Hasoga is seichel. And as we pointed out before in the mashal from re'iyah and touch and sight. Touch is something that you feel because you yourself experience it. It touches you. Sight does not touch you. You see it at a distance. And you see what it is, just the way the thing is. It does not affect you. It does not affect you. It doesn't touch you. What is the significance of sight to a person? Since he doesn't touch you, how is a person affected by sight? And this will explain to us how a person is affected by hasoga, by understanding. We explained many times. The reason we can go into this because this is not a new thing to us here. That even though in sight it doesn't touch us, but in reality sight affects us much more deeply than touch. But it's in a total.
Hasoga is grasp, yeah.
Hasoga is grasp. It's safe. Much more deeply than touch. But this effect that sight has on us is much more deeply, and it's an entirely different type of effect. In touch, we know how this feel affects me, how I feel it. And therefore the reality of this object that I'm touching is only true to the extent that it affects my feel. Whereas in sight, I know it by sight, not by touch, which means I know it not the way because it affects me, but because it's true unto itself. Because I see how this is true. And therefore this is why we explain many times that sight is that faculty in the person that gives him a sense that the world is real. It's a real world. It's not, because if it were only to touch, it would not be real. It's only imaginary. I feel it, but is it really true, or is it just my feeling? But sight gives me, connects me to the reality of the world itself. It's true not because I see it, not because I feel it, but because it's true unto itself. It's a completely different world, different realm, different level of orientation, of awareness. On this or something else?
No,
Yeah, go ahead.
only your seeing sight is not the way it affects me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, a person that is blind, you said that he is completely in a different level, he doesn't even have a yetzer, because he doesn't relate to a real world. So my question is, when we touch something, we cannot see. The only way to perceive it, according to what you explained us, is by seeing. Because the beauty of something, the whole materials of something is only when you see it. When you touch it, is how I feel, but it's not if it's real food. So it means that someone that doesn't see cannot relate to godliness really. Not only he can relate to the world.
Okay, look, maybe we'll come back to it. Let us talk about people who could see. And us who are sighting should be able to see Elokus. That would be good enough for us at this point. Okay. So sight gives a person a completely different sense, a different a sense of reality. Now, coming back in the Nimshol, Midos and Seichel. Midos is how I myself am affected, how I feel about it. What is Seichel? Seichel is what gives me a recognition in the sense of the reality of Elokus. Then it is only in Midos, it is only good because I feel good. And what is that bringing, what is that push, what is that demand of the person? Go and get the truth of it. So you would not be just what you feel, but you will actually relate to the truth of the union itself. Okay? And this is what the Rebbe is saying over here. I'm going back to the end of the top line. Because of this, because that he senses, he feels the goodness of closeness to God, he wants in comprehension of Elokus.
He wants to see how the reality.
Why? Because then you will have Gilui Oir.
See the reality.
See the reality. But Yoir he will experience this Gilui Oir.
The middle triggers that, right?
But the middle triggers that.
Taiba to want to actually see it how it is.
Actually to understand.
Back in the muscle of touching something, you get a feel for it and you want to open your eyes.
Take my blindfold off. What is it? And having said that, do I have everybody? So I want to point out a little. Here, this is an opportunity for us to understand the meaning of the word Gilui Oir. What does Gilui Oir mean? When you touch the object, that's not Oir, that's what it sees. Oir gives you a sense of the reality without having to touch it. Why? Because you relate to the truth of it itself. You don't have to touch it. A child, did you ever see a child look at something? It could be the most exquisite, whatever, beautiful, whatever it is. What is the first thing the child wants to do?
Put it in his mouth.
Touch it, put it in his mouth. Because the child does not have the intelligence to appreciate what he's seeing. To him, real is only that which he touches. But once the seichel develops, touch it. He wants to touch this beautiful painting, whatever it is. Look at it. On the contrary, you want to stand away far and see it from far, not to come close. You don't want to see the course, the lines, you want to see the impression. Complete different thing, different experience. That's what Gilui Oir. You see things through the light rather than through the mitzias, through its weight and measure. And this is what happens when he has ahava. So, not to say that he only wants the experience, no, he wants the truth also. But why does he want the truth? He wants the truth because of the experience of how good it is. So even the hasaga also involves him. Yoyer loy giloy. He should sense the giloy. Normally, seichel is above midas. Seichel is what we call objective. Okay, seichel is objective. So, in the objectivity of seichel, I don't want to confuse. Please tell me if you're going to follow.
Last idea
What?
I lost a few moments. We were seeing about the whole idea of Maria. I used to know the idea, but when you related it to our experience, that it affects us, even though it is external, not part of it.
Okay, so that's what I'm going to explain now. Seichel as objective. What does that mean, objective? That I know the truth of the end, the way it is, not the way I see it, the way I experience it, but objective. The way the truth is. But within that, there is a subjectivity. What is subjectivity? Subjectivity means something has to do with me. It is true that I know the truth the way the truth is. But why do I want to know it? Because I want to know it. I want to have the experience of knowing this truth. So the reason for it is subjective. The experience itself is subjective. But the inyan that I know is objective. This means I know the real truth. But what brings me to that? Why is it meaningful? Why do I pursue it? Because I like this experience. So this is subjective. This is loy. This is loy. But he wants the giloy, he wants the real giloy. He doesn't want to fool himself. He really wants to know it. But he wants to know it. It should be giloy to him.
So then it's still in the realm of experience.
Therefore, it's still related to the realm of experience. Because the ultimate thing that he wants is something that touches him, that relates to him, that he can relate to. It's good for him. Even though here, he doesn't want just the experience, he wants the truth itself. But he wants to see the truth.
You understand the previous page now that this avoida that we're speaking about, which is being expressed in these two ways of the left saying the Manu and Midas and the Midas, this is the avoida of the Dafka avoida, to cleave in a shadow, right? So on the page before it says avoida zu, meaning in the avoida of cleaving in a shadow.
No. The avoida zu refers to the avoida that comes as a result of the hisbonenus.
But then we say the result of these bringings that a person wants to cleave in a shadow.
In that itself, there are Dovka Bey is born. Dovka Bey is when he is completely devoid of any oinik. He doesn't want any oinik.
Meaning he doesn't want any experience.
Doesn't want any experience.
So now we're saying, and an expression of this is that he wants to experience the Gilead.
Right. So that's as I referred to. Just as we explained before, that there is hasoga and oinek tamni hasoga swekaba hasoga, and then there is the chayfetz itself. So now he explains the same meaning in avodah. I understand where the difficulty is, but this avodah zu does not refer to this. The last thing that he explained, that he's completely away from oinek, that he wants only dovka. That's the next madrega.
So then this idea of Sages Elikuz Haikabna this is the idea of this type of a saga where he's
Right. Right. That's the midas.
This is one way that could result in his blindness. That
Right.
a person could want to experience a godly life.
Right. Avodah Zu refers to back to the beginning and say the from his bonus.
I'm not sure if I got it. You said that the Indian Sikhly, that what you understand is objective, that side, but the reason you get what you want to understand it and what brings you to understanding that is a subjective feel, let's say, something subjective that moves you to want to know that. But the way you know it is subjective. Is that,
Yeah. What you know is true. It's objective. But what is your experience? What draws you to it is
The
subjective.
drive is
The
subjective.
drive is subjective.
The midah is the drive.
Because that's a meaning. Okay? We have that. This is the Avodah in Midas. Avol Horotzoin. And he said before, Rotzoin, this is higher than Midas. Rotzoin Shalamayla Midas. Einoi Bederech Hergish Atzmoi. There, this is, if we had difficulty in understanding the name from Ahava and Gilu Yoyer, Rotzoin takes us out completely from personal experience. It is not through the process of Hergish Atzmoi, of feeling himself or personal experience. Rag chofetz be'elokus mitzad ha'elokus, or chofetz be'elokus mitzad ha'elokus. He wants elokus from the perspective of elokus itself, because of elokus. Now, how is this possible? I mean, there's much to be understood. Just like we explained before, he doesn't want anything. If you remember, we explained the Dovka B'y. It's not an experience. It's not an experience at all. It's a Dovka B'y. It's to be with him. If I know that I'm doing his will, that's all I want. I don't have any need to experience anything else. That's all I want. Chayfetz be'elokus mitzad ha'elokus.
You said it, you say, as long as I know that I'm doing what Hashem wants me to do, or just say, just to do what Hashem wants you to do? And
Just
you
to
said,
do-
like, that I know.
No.
So this is on a level of experiencing that I'm fulfilling this eternal will, right?
There's no, when I say I know, means to say I don't really experience it. I don't really experience any closeness to him. I know that I'm there doing his will, but I don't experience it.
I'm not sure I got the whole...
No, you didn't yet. Okay, so let's look inside there. There is no hergish of himself involved. Like chayfetz be'elokus, there is just the will in elokus mitzad ha'elokus, because of the elokus. Now, it is very difficult for us to get a grasp on this for one simple reason. Because when we say, I want this, then me and this thing are two separate things. Therefore, if I want this, there has to be a reason why I want it. If I'm going to buy this watch, and I say, no, this is the watch I want. Tell me why you want this watch. What's wrong with this one? No, this one. That would be stubbornness. That would be stupidity. That doesn't exist. If you want something, you have some kind of explanation. What is it that attracts you to it? You don't want it because this is this. You want it because it does something for you. Not because this is what this is. Therefore, when we say, Chofetz be'elokus mitzad ha'elokus, you want elokus because elokus is elokus, what kind of explanation is that? How can you want it because it's a lakus? Therefore, having said that, therefore we have to follow through in this logic and understand that if such a thing exists, that chofes be'alakus mitzad ha'alakus, he wants a lakus because a lakus is a lakus. That means that in his nefesh, in his neshama, there is a madrega that has the truth of a lakus, that is as true as a lakus itself. Where he and the lakus are not two separate things. Because if they're two separate things, he has to have a reason why he wants it. Has something. Why do I want it? If I want this, just like I'm going to say a person, give a person a choice. Would you like to change your hand? Change it to somebody else's hand. He has a very good hand. He's a good artist.
Good hand.
Hand. Oh, you're out of your mind? But he's got a very beautiful, good hand. He's an artist, he's a carpenter, whatever it is. He plays tennis, whatever it is. Just leave me alone. I want this hand. Why? Because I want this hand. This is me. This is my own hand. When you say that chofetz be'alakus mitzad ha'alakus, he wants a lakus because a lakus is a lakus. What does that tell you? That this chayfetz, his desire, is at the level where he and the lakus are one thing.
Does it have to be like that?
It cannot be any other way. How can you want something for what it is if you are two separate things with that? How?
If you say I desire because I'm lower than it and I want something higher, that's already midah.
Of course, that it tells you it's an experience. It gives you a benefit. So you say, well, okay, this is what I want because I have this benefit. Say, I want this because I want this. I want this because I want this means clearly that you're talking about a perfect unity to start with.
How you do it? It's achim. Perfect.
To start with.
To start with. He wants a lakus for a lakus because he wants a lakus. But this is called the rotzen. This is called the rotzen shebenefesh. But this is telling us. Is that the nefesh is not as we would imagine it to be in our physical experience. Our worldly experience, what kind of desire can we explain? Makes sense to us. We can explain a desire that has a provocation. Provocation has something that provokes a desire. I feel uncomfortable, so I want to be comfortable. I'm tired, so I want to sleep. I'm hungry, so I want to eat. There's something that provokes it. One time, I had a visitor in the house, going back many years. Whatever he had, his certain oddities.
Certain what?
Oddities.
Oddities.
Yeah, and he was whatever he was not the usual guy. He was he's a mathematician, very smart guy in mathematics, but he didn't have very much common sense. And we would sit by a table, And as long as we were talking, he was alert. You would see he was alert, he would participate. The minute it was quiet, he would fall asleep. Literally. Then somebody would be talking and he would wake up. It's like voice activated alertness.
Voice activated mathematician.
And I asked him, I said, yeah, but there's nothing going on. What else do you have to do? Sleep? In other words, this is not a healthy and a normal mental state. But I had that experience, so I have this as emotion. This is not the normal human state. The human state in the nefesh is alert, not because something is enticing it, something is pricking it. It's alert regardless. Even if he is looking and nothing, it's also he's looking. Like I pointed out to you many times, in Mitzvah Shem, we'll discuss it more, it's a very rich. You can look at the sky. What do you see? Nothing. But I'm looking. I'm seeing something. It's an experience. It's not nothing. Doesn't have to be provoked by anything in order to feel, in order to experience. That's the nefesh. Elokus, we know is ayin. Elokus is the perfection of all perfections. And the nefesh wants elokus. Elokus is not something that has any kind of taste, color, power, any kind of. Not that elokus is going to give him the power, he's going to become a better tennis player. Nothing. It's just to the experience of elokus itself. He wants elokus because of elokus. Because it's true. Because it's true.
We're talking now about Ratzon, which is above the midas.
Yeah.
But the desire that the nefesh wants elokus, isn't that the Ratzon which is above the seichel?
Right. Right. That's the source of this rotzen. But any level of rotzen is connected one to the other. Just to be able to want something because of what it is, mitzad nefesh. Except this went through the process of seichel, which we have to explain.
At that point, I get a little lost because I wasn't in the class. So, what we're talking now, the explanation of what's in the left thing now, this is not a piece of.
Yeah, this is the rotzin that's below seichel but above midas. I know you didn't learn the previous search. Doesn't matter.
Above midas, you say?
It's below the seichel. The seichel creates this rotzin. Yeah, it creates this rotzin. But it's rotzin, it's not midas. And he explains the difference. In other words, to answer your question directly, like we said before, seichel does reveal the truth. That's on seichel level. But seichel relates to the truth, to the objective truth. And ultimately, this hisbonenus can bring about this rotzen rather than midas, mamash the rotzen itself. That he wants this truth of elokus that he understands.
Is that what David Melech wanted?
Right, I said before.
That I'm saying,
Right.
that's
Right.
still related?
That's right.
He wanted it just the way he is.
The way it is, right? Chofetz be'elokus mitzad ho'elokus.
Having desire.
He wants elokus because of what elokus is, because of elokus. Mitzad elokus.
Can we say here that then the truth is the trigger and it's Ratzon?
Right. Now, truth, the word truth, has to be understood correctly. There are two terms. There's true and truth. And what is the difference? True has a subject. This is true. It doesn't exist on its own. Truth is an article unto itself. So therefore, truth is not a trigger. Because why do you want truth? Because it's Holocaust. It doesn't make anything true, it's truth itself. It's an essential thing. If it has a subject, if it has some experience, you say, oh, he wants it because of this. No, this is the same thing. But Moshe Rabbeinu was on the mountain the second time. And then he received the second luchas. And it says over there that Moshe Rabbeinu asked Hashem that he wants to see him. I'm sure you learned this. And then the Eivesha said, he can see my front, he can see my back, whatever that means. Right? It's not the Gilui, but heaven. And then it says that Moshe, Vayaver Hashem Alponav, Vayikro Hashem, when Moshe bowed, the Gemara says, Maro, what did Moshe see? Emesro. What did he see? Emesro. He saw truth. This is the union of Elokus, and we always say, what's Elokus? Elokus means the truth of existence, not an existence that is the result of something else. Like when the Rambam says right in the beginning, Amitas himotzei nimtzukon. From the truth of his presence, everything else comes to be. But his presence is a true presence. It doesn't come into being. It's a truth of presence.
You said the truth of existence not as what?
Not as something that comes from something else.
As it is.
As it is. The truth of existence itself. Okay? You have that, right? It's all the V'hu inyan. You ready? V'hu inyan, and this is the inyan that we explained before. Shechofet v'dovko bo yizborich. That he wants to be dovuk, to connect to Hashem. What does it mean he wants to connect to Hashem? Does he want any kind of experience in this? If he wants experience, that's already midas. He wants to feel the feel of it. The Dovka B'Yizborich is beyond that completely. In Tanya, the Alter Rebbe explains that a Beinoni who is not capable of reaching Madriga of a Tzaddik, is not capable of having a real Abba Paltiel, like we said before. So, nevertheless, he shouldn't give up, so to speak. And he should from time to time reflect on the union of Abba Paltiel. Even though he's not going to get it, but he should reflect on it. He should reflect on certain things that facilitate, that make it possible for him to come to Abba Paltiel and reject all Taivas Olam Hazeh. Even though he can really normally not reach it. And he should reflect on how he really wants Elokus, only Elokus. And the Alter Rebbe says, even though it may seem to him to be untrue, but he is imagining things which are not true. So what's the point of doing that? to reflect on Abba Lakus, which he cannot really have. So the Elder says, Lo Yochush. You shouldn't be concerned with that. Now what's he's doing a lie, he's saying to himself a lie. You shouldn't worry, shouldn't be concerned. Me'achar, since, Shu emes la'amnita mitzad atzma. That mitzad atzma, mitzad the truth of his neshama, that's the real truth. Except he does not sense it. But really his neshama, that's what his neshama really wants. So even though he doesn't sense it, he's still telling the truth. This is in the category of Ludovka. In other words, I know I'm saying the truth even if I'm not experiencing it. But that's good enough. That's good enough. Because I'm still connecting and talking about the truth. So the desire for the experience of it is secondary, is of less consequence than to know that this is the truth. To know that I really have that neshama, and this is really my truth, and therefore I'm not lying, I'm not going into imaginary things, I'm not really being false. I'm telling the truth, and that's good enough for me. I don't mean that this should be the only. From time to time, the Alter Rebbe says it's a valid thing to do from time to time. To recognize that Emerson, everyone has an Abba Paltiel. Me'achar shehu emes mitzamite mitzad atzma. Says that in truth it is real. Dr. Shah, that he wants to dovko be'yizborech. He wants to be with the Meibashim. Shechofetz be'alakus mitzad atzma. He wants a lakus because of the truth of a lakus itself, not because of the experience it provides for him. Okay, I think we did. Okay, I'm glad we did this. I think we kind of went through this conclusively. Okay.
So now the last boy who say it means it's true. It's not true, it's true. Yeah?
Dovkubay means that he is connecting to Hashem because that's the truth, not because he experiences it.
Okay. So if he's, but you will explain that the means that since there is an innermost level in him that he is one with Lakus, that's why he can have an interaction with Tzad itself, Tzad Lakus and not Tzad him.
Right.
So if he goes to that level, what is he attaching to? For example, when they say that when you do a mitzvah, even if you don't feel anything, you're touching the Lakus, you're touching atoms. So at that level, he's in a level that he can do any mitzvah and not have any giluim and these that are...
No. So he goes and does mitzvahs. Why? Because this is what Hashem wants. Do I sense Hashem wants it? Does it make sense to me? What does Hashem get from me wrapping these straps around my arm?
So my question is, how do I know? Not how I know, but that's not the question, but I'm attaching to what? Normally you say I attach to the Lakus means I know there's mitzvahs, but sometimes like you do a mitzvah, you know it's the right thing, but since there is not a point of experience, you don't know what you're touching.
What's a lakus? A lakus means, what you said, the lakus means the truth and the source of all existence. That's what a lakus. Not that which is gainful to me, beneficial to me, but that which the truth is. we can't even imagine what we're talking about. We are always preoccupied with what am I supposed to do so that I'll be successful. I will not be a failure. I will have my food when I need it, and I'll be healthy. You know, that's basically this circle around which our mind works. But we also have to understand a much broader picture. The broader picture is that we are here in this great world, and more than that, we are here in the great existence. The Abba created us, and in that existence, Hashem created us intentionally. We are here for a reason. We are here for a reason, and our being is significant because Hashem created. Hashem put an neshama in us, and our being here is very significant from the overall perspective, not just from our own beneficial perspective. We really have a place. We really have a duty. We have a purpose. And when we want, the truth means we want to connect to the truth of our own existence. What am I here for? What does it mean I'm here? I'm here not to overcome my shortcomings. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here just from your own experience. I'm here from there's a godly perspective what I'm here for, about. And this is the godly perspective to which I want to attach. I want to relate to the truth of what I'm here for. Dovke ba'izvah.
You speak so much about the meaning of not thinking of feeling or experiencing.
Let me give you an illustration on a very minor, small level. Okay? And from this you can project, right? You go and attend a simcha, you attend a chasana, a friend's chasana. Okay? Now, the experience in that goes through several gyrations, several cycles. Oh, it's a nice hall. Oh, nice tables. Oh, my friends are here. I'm going to enjoy company. The food is good. The waiters are decent. The music is beautiful. All of these things are part of your experience. None of them is the reason you were there. When do you really participate? When do you really feel a reality of participation, reality of being there? When you relate to the real reason why you're there. Do you feel I belong here in this simcha? Am I a participant? Do I appreciate this simcha? Does the Baal Simcha appreciate that I'm here? Or am I here? I have to be here, otherwise it's going to be insulting. Or he invited me because he couldn't not invite me. He was afraid I'll be bravious. And those kind of things. Then you don't really relate to the real thing. So after you remove all the periphery means all the externals, and you go down to the core, that you say, okay, that's the real thing. And that's an experience completely superior to all the other things. Completely to everything else. You're oblivious to the food and to the waiters and to the music and to everything else. It's a real thing. It's a real human thing. The simcha, you know what I'm saying? Even though it's nothing tangible, it's nothing to eat, it's nothing to experience, but it's an experience of a truth relationship. There's nothing comparable to it. This is a muscle to this in what we're learning here. Yeah, it's wonderful, I understand, but it doesn't compare the dovka beis barach. What is the truth of my existence? Even if I don't understand it, but I know that there is a truth, that alone gives me a brightness in the mind superior to anything else.
One day I'm gonna be able to digest.
But you understand what I'm talking about, right? The muscle.
This is similar to what we spoke about the other day, where we said like you're in the car and you're on the street and you're driving this fast and you're turning here, but it's not really what you're doing. You didn't get in the car to be on Fifth Avenue. You got in the car to go to Crown
To
Heights.
get someplace, right.
That's the actual thing. I mean, it's the same idea as far as
Yeah, well,
simple.
this muscle here from is richer than that. This, you know, this you can see. You experience all kinds of different things, and it's all in the same place, and none of them is the real thing. And you can go through a whole simcha, a whole chasana, and never hit it, and dance and scream and jump up, and make kunsten, and you never hit it.
So, last thing. So through this, we could say that, for example, the example of the chasna. Once you have cleared what you're doing there, you're going for the chasna. For the example of the car, you know you're going to Shabbos for Shabbos. Everything else that is completely meaningless on your way can become completely not meaningless.
That's right.
The only way to get to that chasna.
That's exactly it. And the only way to participate in the chassan is to sit by a table and eat and do meals and to enjoy the music and to dance. That's right. But they become bottled in the.
That's what I'm saying. That really people doesn't mean I'm not you or I'm not here only God, but rather to find completely people so that I can be an expression of what God. Because I cannot relate to the idea that we are supposed, like people is a word that we use so much, but like if one really thinks about it, what does it mean?
No. Of course, everything expresses itself, translates in doing mitzvahs and everything else. So. And David. Where is David Babinet? I first realized that he is out. Who is this?